Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Series 2 of the Mummy Means Business podcast. Today on the podcast, I'm joined with my son who's moaning. So if you hear anything in the background, it's probably just him wanting to play, so just ignore that. But we're going to jump straight into it, and I am joined by the lovely Raquel. So I've known Raquel for many, many years. She's been one of those mums who is just very inspirational. She's very articulate. She knows who she is, and she's someone who I've really looked up to. She gives the best advice. She's someone who you can literally go to about anything, and she'll give you her honest opinion, and she won't beat around the bush. And that's something I've really respected about her. So when I was thinking of a podcast, I actually put out a message on Instagram, and she came back, and I loved her responses and the things that she was saying, and is exactly what I was thinking. So I thought it would be great to have her join. So Raquel's she's a mum, she's a wife, and she's got 3 beautiful children. And today we'll be discussing mostly about the pressures of providing financially towards household bills or anything in regards to the house whilst being a stay-at-home mum. So welcome Raquel. Thank you so much for coming on board.
Thank you for having me.
So firstly, before we kind of jump straight into the specific topic, I wanted to find out how the motherhood journey has been for you. Are you the mum that you thought you were going to be before you had children?
Oh, wow. No, I don't think so. I mean, I had all sorts of plans and hopes, but I think just as you add children and just life, it just changes. Everything changes. Everything is a roller coaster. So it has been a roller coaster ride.
In terms of even little things like disciplining your kids or the friendship and the bond you have with your kids, did you even ever expect that will? Because I see on Instagram where you post about you and your daughter and how you say that she's your future best friend. And I just love that because obviously that's your first girl and that's going to be your future best friend. Did you ever expect that you have such a bond with your child?
I did. I had hope for especially the relationship with my daughter because my mom's relationship and mine is so strong. And through the years, I mean, she was strictly mom growing up, and that's what I tell my daughter Grace is I am here to listen to you and everything, but I am strictly mom. But I know that in the future that all now evolves into a beautiful friendship. And that's why I always say my future bestie, because she knows I'm not her bestie right now.
But soon she'll be a bestie.
Soon, yep, that's right.
And before you had children, what kind of career were you into, or what kind of career were you pursuing before you had your kids?
So I was going to school for marketing, everything to do with marketing. What I had a passion for was more so advertising and just the whole world that comes with, advertising. And I was going to school for it. And I did drop out in my last year only because I knew, okay, I was already about to get married. And I said to myself, probably within 2 years, I'm going to have to start having kids. So I'm only going to be using not even a year of it by the time, I graduate and all that. And I said, it's something I'll pick up later on once, my kids are big enough and they don't need me at home. But that was something that was in my mind, I think probably from about 17 that I said to myself, okay, once I have my kids, I'll be home with them, whatever sacrifice I have to make. And so I didn't actually get to work in that field. But what I was doing while I was going to school, putting myself through school, was I was a nanny for a beautiful family with 3 boys. And I think that is actually what really pushed me and really made me be firm on this I will be home with my kids mentality.
So you already knew, even before you had your kids, you already knew that once you had your family, that will be your focus, and you're going to make whatever sacrifices that's needed to make sure you raise them yourself rather than, have nannies and nurseries and stuff.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, that was one of the selling points when David approached me about dating. It wasn't going to happen if he wasn't willing to have me at home with the kids. It's not because I didn't like to work. I mean, I loved working. I loved earning money and I loved spending it. But it was more so I knew the importance for me um, to be at home with my kids. So it was definitely one of those things where if he wouldn't have been on board, the relationship wouldn't have gone any further.
That's weird because my situation is even the opposite. Like I remember while we were dating, maybe engaged, my husband spoke to me and said, if when we have kids, I would like if you can stay at home. And I'm such I wouldn't say workaholic, but I really like to have something for myself. I think it's something that my mum put that in me. Like I know it's something that is not a good thing, but it's something that stayed with me that I need to kind of shake off. But she put in me like, don't rely on a man, like do something for yourself, have an education, have a name, have some money coming in for yourself. So you're not 100% reliant on him. So if anything happens between your relationship, it's not like you have nothing almost. So I've always had that at the back of my mind, which I know I shouldn't, but it's, when something is instilled in you for how many years, it's so hard to shake off.
It's not so much a bad thing though, because my mom, with me growing up, she would say things to me. I think probably when I was about 17, 18, she said, learn a trade. She goes, yeah, go for your career, definitely, but learn a trade. Learn something that can just give you a side hustle.
Yeah.
Because she's like, when you have kids, if you do decide to stay at home with them, you need something that is bringing in money. You need just for your own spending money, even if it's not to help. It does even help for you to have your own spending cash, where if you went out for a coffee, that doesn't affect any of the home budgets. And I took that advice for granted. And it's not till later on, now that, I'm on this boat, that I'm like, okay, you know what? I need to make things happen for myself and just to have more financial freedom. But no, it's a good thing to want to bring in money. It's just that you have to, in my opinion, you have to kind of, weigh, okay, what will suffer? Okay, so how much time is this going to take? Those kind of things.
Yeah. So do you have any side hustles? Like, I know you said, now you're thinking, oh, I should have kind of got into that as early, but is there anything now, any businesses that you're starting off that's actually providing some sort of income for yourself?
Yeah, for now, for right now, as of right now, what I have going on is tutoring. So I homeschool my children. So I take them to a homeschooling community, and I get paid to be one of the teachers there. And also I stay, even after my kids are done, I stay a further 2 hours and I teach a Spanish and an art class. And I get paid separately for that. And then I also do Spanish tutoring on the side. And, that it goes a long way. That is just extra money, that I pocket that, sometimes I'll buy stuff for the house or whatever with it. And I am working on 2 other projects that are going to be a surprise. They're coming up soon. So, keep your eye out for that one.
Yeah.
But that's our plan, is to just have multiple streams of income just as a household, not just me, just as a household.
Yeah. But in terms of what you're doing specifically, the funds that you get from it, is that mostly just for you and the kids, or would you actually put that towards any bills? Because even while I was on maternity leave, I had some, things that I was doing on the side, but I just felt that it was to, some things, there's some luxuries that I still want, and I don't want to have to burden my husband.
Yep.
Even little things like getting your hair done, or even going out with my friends, and going out for a meal and stuff like that. And I know that I'm not saying that he won't give it to me, but I just don't want to keep burdening like, oh yeah, I want this, I want that. So some of the side hustles I have is just for me to just enjoy those little luxuries without having to add that on top. So how does yours is that what yours goes towards, or do you actually put that towards any household bills?
No, I don't put it towards household bills. David's got that, pretty much covered. Even the kids, we function in budgets in this house, like strict budgets, and he has a budget for the children, and if they need anything or just even their own outing comes out of there. But when it came to that money, no, I've used it for myself. I've used it for, going out with my friends, or if I needed something, just pretty much that. I don't really, it's not money we depend on for any of our other budgets per se.
But do you think, as a state, I was watching something on Good Morning Britain, and it was with Amir Khan's wife and I think one of the women from Sugar Babes, and they were basically having a debate on whether stay-at-home mums should get a salary, whether it's from their husband or from the government in general, but just some income, because obviously I think there's not a lot of credit that goes to what women do in terms of raising their kids. And in terms of on the government side, it's helping them a lot. Like, it's taking them away from, it's giving them the opportunity to be with their moms, to be with a parent, and some of that can have an effect on their future development and their future life, etc. So they'll basically debate, whether stay-at-home moms should get some sort of income and salary. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's something that should be they should be paid for, or do you think it's something that it shouldn't even be put in, like there shouldn't be any money that goes towards that?
I think for me, I know, okay, I have a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And if I would have taken money from the government for them for nursery and things like that, that's I've saved them. I've saved them quite a bit of money. So if there was some sort of allowance that they give stay-at-home moms, I mean, that would be great. But I don't think it would be very realistic considering all the weight the government has on them now. But when it comes to a husband, for us, again, every household is different. For us, I do get something monthly, but that's changed in different seasons. So you have to understand that, like, this isn't for someone to hear and then go to their husbands and be like, see, babe, look, you don't give me anything. And so is getting, 100 pounds a month or 200 pounds a month or whatever. It's just different seasons. There's been seasons where, I know that all our needs are met and, just different things are met. And if I need something, then, and we don't have, a monthly allowance for me that month because of how finances have worked out, I know that, David will do his best to make a budget for it and make it happen. Whether it's the following week or whenever, he's very good at that. But it's just having the patience to understand that there are different seasons. If you can, as a husband, and you have the finances for it to bless your wife who stays at home, that is incredible, because it is a complete full-time job that you don't get a break from. It's very difficult. It's not the easy way out. I mean, I've had people make comments to me like saying, is it because you don't like to work? No, I personally love to work. But it's just something I'm willing to sacrifice for this period. So just understanding the season, like this season, I may not have an allowance, or I may, but just, having an understanding with your spouse when it comes to that. But it is a good thing. It is, because it's a way of showing appreciation.
It's true, because before I had my son, before I had Xavier, we had a budget and we did have allowances. And it was easier to have an allowance where, even my husband had an allowance for himself, that he would spend, a certain amount on, whatever he wants. That includes, going out or getting whatever clothes, trainers. He has an obsession with trainers, so we had to put a budget to that. And then myself, I had an allowance as well. But because I had an income, it was easier to, be a bit, not reckless, but, give yourself the amount that that you can you can enjoy and not be tight on anything. Like, I can easily go out, or I can buy this dress or buy that and not feel away. But now with Xavier, and we've had so many additional expenses that has come in, like you said, it is a season, and the kind of allowance aspect for myself had to kind of just go out of the window, and I have to really just be very frugal with everything that I have and I spend. So I think with that, like, that's why I desperately want to go back to work. I know it's really, really selfish of me, but it's like, I know it's really bad, but it's little things like, I want to have this, but I can't have it. I want to get this, but I can't get it because there's no income. I'm not getting any money. I'm on maternity leave at the moment, and I'm not getting paid anymore. So it's literally just one income. So you are right about the whole, it actually all depends on the season. But also, I think you saying that it's not a cop out, like you staying at home, it's actually more of a difficult decision than it is to go to work. It's so true, because I've been even battling with this about, whether I should go back full time or etc. But it's so much easier. I know it's really bad to say, but it's so much easier just to put him in nursery for 4 days a week and go to work and get that break, and then come back and then, fulfill the mum duties. But the negative side to that is even what one of my other podcasts with Auntie Inka that she was saying is that you don't get the good times with your kids. You only get the really crappy times when they're about to go to bed, when they're really tired, and you don't really get to enjoy your children. So those are like kind of the pros and cons. But what was the, when you were young and you said, this is the decision, I'm going to stay at home. When you had your first child, was it an easier decision, or was it still quite a tough decision?
No, I think once I had Grace, it was easy. I mean, it wasn't even, we just knew automatically that that's what would happen. More so, like I said, I nannied, for that family for about 4 years, nearly 5 years. And I was there for all the key stages. I was there for, the pickup line at school, and I would hear about their day, and I would do their homework with them, and I potty trained, and, all the first days I was there, all the, highlight moments. It was me in the pictures, or it was me taking the pictures. And even though the parents were very involved and very, as much as they could be for two people with very successful careers, and they did the best for their kids. For me, I was just so used to, in my growing up, my mom was there. Funny enough that I said the whole thing about a side hustle. When people always asked me, I said, yeah, I grew up in a household where my dad went to work and my mom was a full-time mom. But as a child, I never noticed that my mom was waking up at 5 and 4 in the morning to go and clean a pub on our high street. And she would be back home by 7:30 to wake us up for school, make us breakfast, and send us off to school. I didn't even notice, even though I knew my mom was a babysitter. All the little neighborhood children would get dropped off early in the morning at my house. It just felt like, I don't know, growing up, you're just oblivious to what's going on. And these are all sacrifices that she made so that she could 100% be there for us. She's the one who greeted me when I would, come home running from school. And that's exactly what I wanted for Grace and, for the rest of my children, was to just have me there full time. And it didn't, by the time I had Grace, it just didn't feel like a sacrifice. It just felt like, okay, this is the right thing for us. And this is the model we've shaped our family after, to just be at home. And yeah, so it just didn't feel, for me, it didn't feel like a sacrifice anymore by that stage. But I mean, that does change in seasons. Don't get me wrong. There's times where, look, I'm human. I spend all day with my kids. Like I said, I even homeschool them. So sometimes, people going to an office and just being in the city and just having something different to do looks very attractive. But it's just, you have to kind of keep going back to, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? Yeah. And that happens to me with homeschooling as well. There's days where I'm just like, why am I doing this to myself? But I just have to recalibrate and say, okay, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it does definitely help for the next morning. So it's seasonal, and it's difficult both ways, I think, being at home and working. Just all the challenges that come with it. I think at the end of the day, just parenting in general is tiring, and it's consuming, and it's draining. It's wonderful, but it's all those things as well.
Definitely.
And I think it would affect me either way.
You're right. Because even my mom as well, like, even though my mom was present, so I knew that she was working crazy hours. Sometimes she'll work night shifts, and the next day she'll work morning shifts. But she always made time to make memories with us. So it's not, so she really, really made sure that she did both, even though you knew that she was exhausted, she was tired, but she was never not around. And she was never not there. And it is what you're saying. It's kind of like the side hustles that you realize that they do when you get older, but when you're young, all you see is them just being around. So you don't realize everything that they're doing behind the scenes. But has there been a time, since having kids, that you've ever felt pressure, whether it's the pressure that you put on yourself, to contribute something? Has there been like a hard time where you felt like, you know what, like, I need to contribute something, because I'm like right now, we had to move house, my husband and I, because obviously with Xavier, our house became smaller. When kids stuff are like a house that might seem big for just two people, when you have a child, it just seems all of a sudden so small. So yeah, his stuff literally took completely over, and obviously we had to move, and it was during the period that I'm not working, I'm not getting any money. And even though my husband was like, it's fine, like, don't even worry, I've got everything. And he's never ever given me he's never ever put any pressure on me or given me a reason to even think about anything. I put the pressure on myself to give something. And even if it's like £20, even though I know it's not going to make a dent, or even £10, or even if it's like buying my son's food, like something. And he's always like, relax, like, it's fine, I've got it. But I think it's the mentality, like what I go back to always wanting to provide something, even though I know, I don't need to. I just have that at the back of my head. Have you ever gone through that?
Yeah, most definitely. I think even, especially when times are harder, is when you feel the pressure. There's been times when I remember having Jael as a baby, and I think we were living in Chesington at that time. And we knew, okay, things were tight. And I was thinking, okay, how can I, and this was not pressures at all put on by David. Like, he just wants his kids well looked after, and, that kind of stuff. He didn't expect this from me, but I was thinking, what can I do? I'm looking at like Sainsbury's and Tesco jobs at night, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe if I pump, because I was breastfeeding at the time, if I pump and then, just leave some milk for him and all that. And then, it's almost like at that same moment, again, I had to recalibrate and say to myself, wait, I could go and do a night shift, but how am I going to be the next morning to, once they both wake up and they're 100% my responsibility again.
Yeah.
And, at that time, I think Grace I was just starting to do a little bit of homeschooling with her as well. And just how am I even going to function properly for them? It's already hard enough to be breastfeeding constantly. And then I had to just kind of say to myself, okay, you know what? No, again, it's a season, and I need to just do what I need to do and make things run as smooth as possible at home, so that, it can be smooth for David and for the children. So every time I do feel the pressure, I mean, for example, now I am trying to make things happen on the side. But it's more so because, I've come to an understanding that you should have, different money coming in, and it's okay to just not live tight and all that. But yeah, I battle it all, I've battled it many times where I'm just like, okay, maybe I should do something to help. But then I have to keep reminding myself, wait, what time are you going to do it? Look at everything else you're already doing.
Yeah.
Like, where are you going to actually fit this? Something's going to have to give. So I have to constantly remind myself, what am I not willing to sacrifice?
Yeah.
And then, whether it's 2 hours here and there, like I have a tutoring session on Fridays now, that I do for 1 hour. So I know I come out of the house for about, an hour and 45 minutes. But I know that, we have homeschooled before then. We have, done certain things. I have kept the house clean. I've made sure lunch was left for them and different things like that. So it's finding ways of doing it without the sacrifice, I guess you could say. Without sacrificing was important. But yeah, I've felt pressure time and time again, but put on by myself. And I just have to remind myself, you know what? No, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Just keep doing what you're doing. What I'm doing requires 24 hours. So, when am I going to actually fit something? And just finding wise ways of doing it, making money while the other side doesn't suffer.
And do you feel like now you've definitely found the balance? Like, what is the key to having that kind of balance where you can have your side hustle, but your role as a mom doesn't suffer?
Yeah, it's understanding really what you are not willing to sacrifice. I said, it's funny because I just had this conversation with David this week, and I said, okay, if I'm bringing in a certain amount of money a month for whatever side hustle I'm doing, even though for people who know me, I enjoy cleaning, and it is one of the first things that I would actually hire someone out to do is actually to clean my house then. And just so that I can spend more quality time with my kids. Because the one thing that I'm not willing to sacrifice or to have someone fill my shoes in is the side with my children. The household stuff, I'd be willing to do that. So it's just saying, like, having the right balance of saying, okay, you know what, if I am going to devote more time to a side hustle, what is going to suffer? And then just prioritizing that. For example, my kids won't, but my household may. So let me just get a cleaning lady, or, let me, whatever I have to do is what I'm saying. Like, so that area doesn't suffer. So I think now, whilst before, if you would have asked me this question 5 years ago, I would have said, no one's cleaning my house. I took pride in cleaning my house. I would have been like, look, I'm Hispanic. We don't have people clean our houses. I would have said, we're the ones who clean people's houses. Like, I would never, this would be like shameful to even say, oh, what, you have a house cleaner. But as the years have gone, I'm starting to learn that, you know what, it's having things, prioritizing things, and my kids, and the attention my husband's getting and everything, that needs to come first. If I'm bringing in more money, then yeah, I am going to hire a house cleaner. And just having a balance of, okay, always knowing, okay, what am I not willing to allow to suffer? And I think like that way you can kind of just put your thoughts in order better.
It's good. You have to just prioritize what's the most important thing to you, basically.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for being on this podcast. It's actually been really great talking to you, because, sometimes you see people, you go through things and you think, oh, will they go through the same thing? And when you hear their stories, like, oh, actually, I've been through exactly the same thing. So it almost humanizes everyone rather than just, saying hi and bye from afar and not really getting to know them. So it's been really good having this chat with you. Before you go, I have one more question. If you had any advice to give to any woman who's, either just had a child or might not even have a child, but, that they have the same mentality as you, that they want to make sure that they stay at home and focus on raising their kids, that's their first priority. But they also have this pressure of, finances as well. What advice would you give to them?
Definitely find something you can do on the side. I mean, if you can have that going for you before you have kids, then you're in a better place. I'm starting that up now. While if you do that before, you may be sitting pretty by the time you have kids. So just, find something to do, whether it's a trade, something you can do from home. Sometimes it may not be what we went to school for. So just finding different ways of bringing in money, but understanding that even if you are a mother, that there are seasons, and some may be tighter than others, and you just have to enjoy the season you're in as much as possible, because really they go so fast it becomes a blur. And when I look back now to when Jael was little, or when we just had Malachi, I'm not really thinking much about the financial struggle we were in. I'm looking back at the memories that I had with them and the moments I spent with them. So just knowing that it's a sacrifice, but they are seasons and they will pass, and learning from them. I mean, I wish I would have taken on board, what my mom said from the very beginning. My story could have probably been different today, but this is the horse I'm riding now. So I have to make something happen for myself now. But yeah, find something to do, and also just enjoy your kids, enjoy the time that you have with them, because it's
they
so
grow up
short.
so fast. They
Yeah.
really do. It's
Yeah.
even when you said Malachi was 3, I was just like, when did that even happen? Like,
Exactly. Yeah. To
that
bring
happened
perspective.
so quickly.
Yeah, to bring perspective to a mom, if I wasn't homeschooling, right now I would only technically have one child at home with me, and he's even eligible for nursery. So, even if you say to yourself, oh, it's going to be a rough first 5 years financially, if you are going to send your kids to school, just know that it goes really fast, and then you can get back to what you were doing, or different ways of making money after.
Yeah.
It's a short season, it really is, and you'll never look back on these days and say, oh man, I wish I was at work more and not spend that time with Xavier. If anything, you may actually look back and say, oh, I wish I would have spent more time with Xavier.
Yeah, I have like literally 2 more months to sort myself out, basically. So I'm just riding away from now and just like enjoying our time together, and I'll deal with the big elephant once the time comes. But yeah, thank you so much for being on this podcast, and thank you all for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the podcast. It's available on Apple Podcasts, on iTunes, on SoundCloud, and on Podbean. We'll be releasing episodes every week, talking to many different women about different topics. So make sure you stay tuned. And yeah, thank you so much. See you soon. Bye.